This podcast is intended for informational purposes only and should not be considered or interpreted as legal or professional advice.
Welcome back to another episode of Mika Minutes. I'm your host, Mika Domingo. My guest in this episode is Jen Hancox, the lead appraiser and designer for the Edna Collective in Burlingame, California. Jen is truly an expert in all things jewelry. Her work helps connect generations and preserve precious memories, and her insight into appraising and properly documenting jewelry plays an important and often overlooked role in the estate planning process. Jen is also author and creator of the Jewelry Inventory Workbook, a thoughtful resource that helps families create a written record of their jewelry while offering an opportunity to celebrate memories and connect with the stories behind each unique piece. Welcome to Mika Minutes, Jen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, why jewelry? What inspires you to help others with your jewelry expertise?
Well, I love jewelry. You know, when you were a kid and you put on the plastic rings or the candy necklaces. And so that started out early in life, but I worked in restaurants. So we got to see a lot of beautiful jewelry. And when I stopped doing that, I moved into the jewelry industry. I love that it blends fashion and craftsmanship, artistry, even some fun, geography. So I just love that. And I love helping others discover their style. I love renovating jewelry for people. Maybe you inherited something, and just making people feel empowered to be beautiful. Sometimes that jewelry is a talisman for you.
Jewelry can be a statement, right?
Absolutely.
It can be very powerful. And I'm so glad that you're here with us today, because we oftentimes work with a list of pieces from our clients, and they oftentimes still need to be organized. Who would benefit from using your Jewelry Inventory Workbook? And when is the best time to do so? If I have clients who've already completed their estate plan, for example, is it still okay to go ahead and go back and use the Jewelry Inventory Workbook?
Absolutely. I would answer everybody and any time, but that can be a little broad. So using the Jewelry Inventory Workbook, I always thought that it would be kind of a nice piece that a client or the adult child, of the client would sit down with them, sit down with your mom or grandma and, have a cup of coffee and a piece of cake and do some jewelry inventory. Use the workbook, whether they do it before they come to see you or after the estate's completed, because a lot of things are kind of missed in the shuffle. The big thing, the house, the bank accounts, of course, everybody has those. But that piece of jewelry you got for an anniversary from your husband on the 20th, anniversary, those types of things. You can do it before, which is always good, but after is good too, because they're still in touch with you, so they can add those pieces afterwards.
Can you walk us through how your book will help an estate planning client?
Absolutely. So the book is organized with a little information out in the front, different types of golds, different gemstones by color and name to help, because you don't always remember what the pink stone is called. And then some prompts. It's written out like a journal where you can circle some items, you can fill in some items, there's check boxes. Your client would take one piece of jewelry, write down the name of it, some fun fact, we bought this when we saw the moon, the Apollo rockets take off, or something fun. Little check boxes, it's gold, it's, platinum, silver, whatever it is. And then the estate planning client is benefited by this particular section where it says, does this have any paperwork like receipts or appraisals? Do you know where the appraisals are? Have they been updated? And then, is this on your will or trust? And then the next box says, are we keeping this? Can you give it away? Melt it down, or who gets it? Does Jennifer get it, or does Mika get it, and who requested it? So it's not a will and trust, but at least some format where it's Mika requested this, so maybe we'll give it to her. So I think that's how it would best help your clients in the process.
I think it's incredibly helpful to have someone that you can speak with, not just about the organization of these items, but also sometimes in terms of classifying and making sure the items are appraised correctly.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jen, for this discussion and for joining me on this episode. For more information about the Edna Collective or to inquire about Jen's services, you can visit theednacollective.com. TheEdnaCollective.com. And you can send any questions about jewelry, appraisals, or inventories at hello@theednacollective.com. Information about the Jewelry Inventory Workbook, as well as a link to view and purchase it, will be provided in the description of this podcast on YouTube and Spotify, alongside more information about the Edna Collective. Stay tuned for my next episode of Mika Minutes.